The BBC Panorama investigation has just dropped a bombshell. New evidence suggests that UK Special Forces have unlawfully killed insurgents in Afghanistan and Iraq. We've got eyewitness accounts, new video evidence from former Special Forces operators and those that served alongside them that revealed they may have executed and murdered innocent civilians, including children. We are breaking it down, so make sure you subscribe for a full analysis and to stay updated with all future videos. I'm Craig, a former British soldier, and let's get into it. Getting into it then, so we've got the BBC News report here. So there's a full hour-long panorama film that you can go and watch. It's very, very interesting, and I'm going to watch it a few more times before I comment exactly on that, because there's a lot of information to take in. But go and have a watch of it. It's on BBC iPlayer, and then come back to my videos and let me know what you think. But what we do is we cover this video first to see, because this article goes into a lot of information, so we can go through this, and then in the future videos we'll go through the panorama film in even more detail, because what has come out is massive. So this is the bit that gets me, is former members of UK Special Forces have broken years of silence to give BBC Panorama eyewitness accounts of alleged war crimes committed by colleagues in Iraq and Afghanistan. Apparently BBC Panorama have been investigating this for around 7 years. Given their accounts, they publicly, for the first time, the veterans described seeing members of the SAS murder unarmed people in their sleep, execute handcuffed detainees, including children. One goes on to say they handcuffed a young boy and shot him. He was clearly a child, not even close to fighting age. Here we go, here's more. Killing of detainees became routine, the veteran said. They'd search someone, handcuff them, then shoot them before cutting off the plastic handcuffs used to restrain people and planting pistols by their body. Okay, so they are literally saying that these guys, and I've seen some of the video footage that I can't play on here just yet, and I don't think I'm going to be able to, but go and watch it yourself. They are literally going into buildings and basically just shooting before they even PID. They're just shooting everyone. They're not even PIDing that these people or children or men, whoever it is, actually are holding weapon systems and someone's immediate threat to life. Yes, UK Special Forces would have worked under different rules of engagement to what I would have worked with when I was in Afghanistan, but basically they say you can't shoot someone unless there's an immediate threat to life, but you don't know what goes up high up when you've got such a high value target. Like we knew with Bin Laden, it was basically just shoot on sight. So you don't know if some of this is what this is. But what they're actually saying is these guys just were going out and murdering and trying to kill as many people as they possibly can. It was like they were going on and up, and just because these people had been brought up before on their wanted lists, they've come up again. They're like, let's just go and kill them. New testimony includes allegations of war crimes stretching over more than a decade. The SBS, the Royal Navy's Elite Special Forces Regiment, is also implicated. Okay, so this is the SAS and the SBS. A veteran who served with the SBS said some troops had a mob mentality, describing their behaviour and operations as barbaric. I saw the quietest guys switch, show serious psychopathic traits. He said they were lawless, they felt untouchable. Bearing in mind, the UK Special Forces carried out thousands and thousands of missions throughout the time we was in Afghanistan and Iraq. Not hundreds, they would have carried out thousands. And, you know, a lot of the guys would have gone out multiple times. So the amount of operations that they would have to investigate would be thousands. But what gets me is, in the BBC Panorama, they say that, you know, a good 4 to 10 people that worked alongside the SBS and the SAS have come forward to give their eyewitness statements. And they tried to speak to up to 30 people that either served with the regiments or served alongside them. So I'm guessing the ones that they've served alongside them, you're possibly talking SFSG, Marines 1 Para, RAF Reg. You could have had SFC guys, other signal guys, attached arms, drivers, logistics. I'm wondering pilots. How have they even got in contact with all of these? I do not know. I don't know how the BBC do it. And two, how have they persuaded? Because obviously in the panorama, like I said, go and watch it. they've kept them anonymous. They've hidden their identities. Obviously, you've got the Secrets Act, and also they're grassing on their colleagues. They're grassing on their mates. So they want to be careful. And also, a lot of the operations they would have gone on are classified and secret, so they shouldn't actually be talking about them. But what puts me in two minds. I'm like, we need to leave our guys alone. We need to leave the SF guys alone to do their job. But a little bit of me goes, but why have possibly so many people come forward to say that this was going on? Because it's a lot of people, and they've obviously come forward because they generally have concerns. They've got the integrity, they've got the courage to come forwards, the discipline, selfless commitment, because if something generally did go wrong and it was that bad, then they want to come forward. But then a bit of me is like, how did they get in contact with these? Let's leave our SF guys alone. They're under a lot of stress. They were doing ops that most people wouldn't do. But then if you're handcuffing a boy and shooting them, then yeah, that ain't what you're meant to be doing. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comment. Please do let us know. The eyewitness testimony offers the most detailed public account of killings to date. Testimony from more than 30 people served with or alongside UK Special Forces. They got in contact with up to 30 bills and years of reporting by the BBC Panorama into allegations. Apparently David Prime Minister was repeatedly warned by the Afghanistan president that innocent civilians were being killed by UK Special Forces. He denies that he was ever told that. If a target had popped up on the list or two, is what I said earlier, 3 times before, then we'd go in with the intention of killing them. There was no attempt to capture them, said one veteran who served with the SAS, referring to people who had been previously captured, questioned and then released. What I don't get with this part is, when you're planning the op, you've got all ranks, okay? What I get from UKSF, from speaking to people and watching people talk about it, is from the lowest guy to the highest guy, you all plan the op. That's what they're the thinking soldier. It's not just the officers that plan it, it's everyone. So to be in a planning room, a briefing, and then sit there and go, yeah, this guy's popped up, obviously the mission is to capture him, but what we're going to do is we're going to go out and kill him. When did they have these discussions? Who was the discussions between? That's what I would like to know. Sometimes we'd check, we'd identify the target, confirm their ID, then shoot them. Often the squadron would just go and kill all the men they found there. Just seems so far-fetched in my eyes that it was literally, every time they went out on an op, it was literally just kill every man that you see. And once again, you can look at it from two sides. Obviously, there's a lot of Afghan families coming up and speaking. You could look at it from a fact they generally are upset. Their innocent family members have been killed. Or what I used to see sometimes when I was in Afghan and you used to hear stories of, is obviously their family members were part of the Taliban, but they were killed, and then they would want compensation because they were bringing the money in for the family. So then they would come and say, you've killed our innocent brother, husband, father, or whatever. We need compensation because we can no longer manage the farm or something. So you can look at it from both sides, that they're upset and they genuinely want this sorted. They want them brought to justice, or they're possibly looking for compensation. I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying they're the two sides you can look at it from. Comment below with what you think of that. One witness served with the SAS said that killing could become an addictive thing to do, and that some members of the elite regiment were intoxicated by the feeling. But by that feeling in Afghanistan, there were lots of psychotic murderers, he said. Most probably it does become the norm a little bit. When you're going out on night ops, day after day, like these guys do it day after day, like you're getting shot at day after day, you'd be accustomed to it. Your emotions completely just go, because you're like, I'm just being shot at again. You can't feel the emotions. They just slowly drain out of you. On some operations, the troop would go into guest house type buildings and kill everyone there. They'd go in and shoot everyone sleeping there on entry. It's not justified killing people in their sleep. People were never left alive, is what they were saying. And it's just constantly repeated by veterans who apparently served in the SBS and SAS, that this was going on. And then in here, it goes on about how they were keeping a tally. So apparently a lot of the guys were keeping a tally of how many people that they had killed, which They most probably did. And I'm not saying they kept those tallies to go out and kill everyone to increase their tally. But a lot of the guys in the army, when they did have to sadly take someone's life and they had to do it multiple times, they did keep a tally. Some guys didn't, some guys did. Some guys got to a certain number and then they stopped. Especially at the height of Afghan, it wasn't just SF guys. There was standard, regular, conventional forces in firefights, day in, day out, taking people's lives. And they most probably possibly did keep a tally. You know, snipers have confirmed kills, number of confirmed kills. They keep a tally. They're not saying that they're committing war crimes, but they keep tallies. A lot of people do. And for a normal person, that sounds crazy. But in the army, that's your job. That's what you're trained to do. But yeah, it's, you know, and then it comes out. So basically what they did is they were actually going out with fake grenades, AK-47s they were carrying out, had folding stocks, they were having pistols in their day sacks, in their kits. So then when they did take someone's life, they were then planting these weapon systems next to the guys, taking pictures to try and prove that obviously they fatally took this person's life because they were pointing a weapon at him and they had to basically engage him, when really what the eyewitnesses are saying is, what they were actually saying is that to have they were actually had their hands tied up in front of them, behind them. They were then shooting them and then they were cutting the ties and planting these weapons next to him. This is how in depth this goes, and you've got to go and watch the panorama, and we'll go through all of the information that when I've watched it a few times and taken in all of the information. But I just wanted to get this out there. Like, this is big. This is really, really big for not just UK Special Forces. This is big for the British Army, the Royal Navy, the British Armed Forces, the UK government, our Special Forces, our reputation and how we are portrayed to the public. The BBC have now come out and said the majority of our UK Special Forces are murderers. They're executing people. And they were just going on killing sprees night after night, day after day. And they've released this to the public. This is the people that protect us day in, day out, constantly put their lives on the line, have got huge respect. They are highly respected within our public. And now you've come out about this. Their reputation is going to be destroyed, whether it's true or not. So the BBC, we know, are not very good at always telling the truth. Whether this is true or not, I'm still going to do my research and have a look at this. I don't want it to be true. I highly respect RSF, and I think sometimes, yeah, they maybe did have to take lives that some people think they most probably shouldn't have, but you don't know the situation, you don't know the split-second decision they've had to make. Are they just trying to go after RSF guys like they have in Northern Ireland? Our standard, our guys like Brian Wood in Iraq. There's always someone trying to go after him to try and make money, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to keep looking into this. Please do comment below what your thoughts are. We're going to see and make our mind up on this. At the minute, I'm just giving a non-biased sort of video on this is possibly why they could be doing this, this is possibly why they could be doing this, this is possibly what could have happened, this is possibly what could have happened. I'll keep reading the articles, I'll watch the BBC panorama, and then we'll sort of go from there. So please do comment below your thoughts on this. I'd love to know your initial thoughts. But Soldier in Me says, you weren't there, you weren't having to make those split-second decisions. How have they got so many ex-SF guys to come forward and talk and break their secrecy and grass on their colleagues and mates? So yeah, that's my thoughts on it so far. Please do stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe.